Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good Friday evening. So, I wanted to jump on here and give everybody some information as far as the conditions we're going to see tonight and actually show on the map, the timing and how it's going to make its way through the area. I'm going to take just another second and let some other people join in, and then we'll get started. You can see right now we don't really have much going on in the area. There's a pretty significant thunderstorm up here near the Kentucky line. Got a tornado warning with it, and they've seen some really large hail, 3.25 inches sized hail up around that area. So, okay, let's take a look at what we're going to see coming later tonight. So I was waiting for this model to load, and this model is fresh off the presses here. And we're going to go ahead and advance forward. Maybe some light rain in the area around 6 p.m. But we start seeing these storms work their way in across Nashville around, that's going to be 11 p.m. Nashville time. And then we're going to get right here. We start to see these storms approach the counties that I cover over here in the central time zone area. So this is going to be around 1 a.m. and then 1 a.m. Central Time, 2 a.m. Eastern Time. And they're going to move kind of quickly. We see them start to break up. Again, I'm still seeing this breaking up right before it gets to Hamilton County. We do see this, stronger cell up here around Sale Creek and Birchwood area. But then as we go one slide forward, you see it breaks up and it weakens right as it makes its way through Hamilton County. That weakening is going to happen for a lot of these areas over here as well. Lafayette, Dalton, Chatsworth, up here around Ringgold, Fordo, Rossville, Chickamauga. We do see it staying a little bit stronger over around the Trenton area, Dade County, and over here around Jackson County, Alabama. These storms kind of maintain their strength as they make their way through there. And then over here near, Tellico Plains down here towards Polk County, we see these storms kind of maintain some of their strength. But for Hamilton County and Bradley County, it's going to break up fast, and it's going to give us a little bit of relief from the, stronger storms. That being said, there's still a possibility. These models are not perfect. We still could see those storms stay stronger a little bit longer. So, we're going to keep an eye on the radar tonight and keep our eyes open. Now, this is around 4 a.m. So, 3 a.m. we see those storms really start to approach Hamilton County. They're kind of over here at Ray and Meigs County already. So that's going to be around probably 2:30 a.m. And then even up here around Sweetwater. So that's going to be, probably around 2:30 a.m. when those storms really make their way in. Marion County, that's going to be 2 a.m. for you, around the main areas of Jasper. High Top, this looks like a significantly strong storm over here. We start to see a little bit of that pinkish purple in the middle of that, which is an indication on a model of a stronger storm, and it means that we could see some hail involved with that. So then as we move down back to this section where we see this weakening, we're going to move past that. That's at 4 a.m. And then we're going to make our way to 5 a.m. We still see a lot of rain in the area. Pretty much every area that I cover, the storms are starting to make their way down towards Calhoun, Resaca, Ranger, Adairsville, and you see a little bit of re-strengthening, but not as much as I was seeing this morning. And then, still heavy rain around 6 a.m. Most of Tennessee will be done with the rain around 7 a.m. And then most of the area altogether, we'll see rain make its way around 8:30 a.m. Still have some lingering showers down around here, but it's not going to be anything stormy or dangerous. All right, so let's roll back and show you a couple of things here. When we see these storms form out in front of the main line, that can kind of be an indication of a stronger storm forming. We're going to keep an eye on that. If that does happen, I would anticipate this being a storm that could produce some significant hail, definitely some stronger winds. But I'll be honest with you, tonight we are going to be looking at the potential for storms that can produce some tornadoes. Here I want to show you. This is kind of difficult to show because I can't do a dual pane with a model. I wish I could. Hopefully that capability comes in the future. But I have this little, this is not perfect. This is not saying that there's going to be a tornado, but this shows kind of a collection of the different conditions that go together to create the possibility of a tornado. Then when we start to see some of these, yellows and pinks, those are places where I'm really looking at that risk. The green does mean a little bit higher of a chance, but if we go back to the same time period, we don't see those storms actually down here. So it's saying the atmosphere is conducive, but the storms haven't actually made their way down. So if we go back to that map, we see that really start to break up as those storms actually approach our area. And this happens from time to time. It actually happens quite a bit, and that's why I don't use this map very often, because it shows the atmospheric condition, not what the storms are going to do. So, we see that risk breaking down and continuing to break down as we advance in time. So as I said earlier this morning, really, the central time zone counties over here that I cover are going to be the ones that have the most risk for stronger storms and that chance of a tornado. I'm not saying that there won't be one outside of this area. We still have some risk down here around Hamilton County, Bradley County, and Dade County, Jackson County, Alabama over here, Ray and Meigs, especially, around Dade County, Jackson County, Ray and Meigs County, where those storms are going to kind of make their way around and still be strong in those areas. All right, let's look at the next map here. We're going to look at wind gusts. So you see there's not a whole lot of risk for wind gusts. This does not really accurately display gusts created by storms. A lot of times the wind gust map will just show very well, like if we are going to have a windy day. You can see where you have these purples right in here. It is kind of estimating some stronger winds due to those stronger storms. Yeah, supercell composite works kind of good for these situations. The storms are going to be a little bit cellular, but they're also going to be organized as a line. Really, this shows the capability of the storms to get stronger, but not exactly tornadic. So you see, you know, you don't get too much of these yellows and purples in this area as we make our way through. That's also a good map that I use sometimes to tell if there's going to be storms forming in front of the main line of storms when we have a squall line coming in. So let me go back to the main reflectivity map. Yeah, wherever you see these brighter red circles, those are the areas that, you know, have the most chance of seeing these stronger storms. If you are just joining in, I want to remind you that, you know, this is a video just discussing conditions and what we may see in the future. So if you missed something, you know, come back on when I'm done with the video and you'll be able to watch the entire thing from beginning to end. I will be watching this all night to make sure that everything stays, you know, stays good for us. And if anything does strengthen and become a risk, I will cover it. With this looking like it's going to be, you know, storms across a large area, I will most likely just come on here and do the update and coverage live. So that way I can hit all of the areas. If there's multiple storms at one time, I'll be able to discuss all of them very quickly. If you've been on here through the last couple of videos, you know I've been having some issues with the coloring of the radar. I was able to get that fixed, and I'm always working to try and make sure everything is nice and easy for you to see. And thank you again for all the, you know, well wishes and the you know, people coming on and, you know, hey, there's this job opportunity that your wife might want to look at. You know, she's actually taken quite a few of those into consideration and sent in resumes and, you know, taking a look at the jobs. I just want to say again that I appreciate all of you and everything that you do, and I will do my best to help keep all of you as safe as I can. I hope y'all have a wonderful evening, and hopefully you won't have to hear from me for the rest of the night. We will talk to you soon.